And good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to 2026. Woo! That's it's a little wild. It's a wild. I've already twice this morning. I've already typed 25 instead of 26. You tell me how long do you think that'll keep happening for? Saying at least a week. Welcome all to Makers and Movers podcast on this fine Friday morning. Now, this is your first time here, long time here. I know who you are, where you're from, what's in your cup, and what the weather is like in your area. Usually ask, what are five things? What are five things that you are going to accomplish today? But I know a lot of you are off today. So I know a lot of you are just in recovery mode. No, you're just like, you know what? We're going to enjoy it. We're going to hit everything strong next week. But I'd still like to know, who's working today? Who's got five things that they're going to take care of? For us, even though that technically we are closed, we still got stuff to do. As a business owner, you don't get to take time off. I mean, you can, but if you will need stuff done, you're going to take care of it. We've got stuff to build out for next week. We've got email chains that need to get. We've got posting that needs to get taken care of. We've got Tuesday with Todd that needs built out. New listings. We've got a lot to do, and sometimes if you want things done, you just have to do it yourself. So welcome to being a business owner, right? So we've got a lot to do. We've got stuff that needs to be delivered today for an event on Monday. So we're doing that. We're going to pull some orders today. And the big thing is next Tuesday, we're launching some stuff, folks. And I'm going to give you a little sneaky preview of it today. And today, what are we talking about today? What are we talking about today? I gotta look and see because I forgot what we're talking about today. Is it yeah. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about getting ready for the year. We're starting off a new year, and it seems like a lot of people like ready to go, and you're already falling behind and around behind the eight ball on things, and it's just like it's almost like starting gun already went off, and you're still in the locker room. Everybody else heard it, but the second the calendar flips, it's like the noise ramps up. You're expected to have new goals and new routines and a new energy and new expectations, and you're like, whoa, what happened? And then that pressure sneaks in and it hits hard. And so we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about some stuff. We're not about what you're doing this year, but it's more about how you're entering in the year. The way that you do the way that you're going to start this year, you know, should be setting the tone for how everything that follows. So if you're starting from panic and urgency or guilt, pretty sure that those decisions are going to show up in every decision that you make, or yeah, they're going to show up in every decision that you make. But if we start from that grounded, honest, and clear-headed spot, I think we're going to be able to build some momentum that doesn't require the burnout to sustain. So, before we start writing all these lists and launching all these new products, or deciding that we need to fix the business today, this is the pause. Whew. This is the pause that people skip, and this is what should make the rest of the year easier. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So let's check in. Kim, thanks for becoming a member. Gabriella, hello to you, and happy New Year to you as well. Rosalie, right? Is that right? Happy New Year's to you. Karina, hello. Thank you for joining us. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. And what do we have there? Chris, you're working. See, I'm working too. Happy New Year to you. What's up, Chuck? Good morning and Happy New Year to you. BC Sticker Guys, Happy New Year to you. I keep writing 2025. I will do it for a while. I know I will. Keith, happy. Hey, from sunny Space Coast in Florida. Coffee already in the cup, empty. I'm on Celsius number 2. That's it. And then I'm going to switch over to coffee. I am a little tired today. I went to bed early last night too, but I didn't sleep the greatest. I think I was in bed before 10 o'clock and I was out, but I started waking up like 1. Yeah, I love having an amazing sleep schedule like that. George, good morning to you. George, you working today? Barb, good morning. North Central Minnesota, -7 and sunny. I haven't even looked up today. I haven't looked outside to see even what it is out there. I'm not hot tea in the cup. Shop closed till Monday, right? Fabric storage organization, filament storage, digitizing 2026 pricing and 3D printing. Barb's got a busy day there. Tim checking in. Good morning to you. Uh, I'm looking forward to the New Year. So we've got a lot going on and a lot of things planned, a lot of things that didn't work out the way we wanted to in 2025, and we'll just keep working on those things in 26 to hopefully, make things better. Hi, Chuck, Tim, DC Sticka from Barb, and hello and happy 2026 from Jerry. And Jerry's working after a doctor's appointment. Don, where are you at? Good morning from Illinois. You're right here with us. Happy New Year to you as well. So I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys a little sneaky peek of what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. Because if you watched this past Tuesday with Todd, we said that we were going to launch some new colors, and we showed a few of those off. And I do believe I need to make sure to turn this on. What did we show off? We showed off. Yeah, we showed off two of the colors, and we'll get into names, and we're going through that. And that's part of this weekend is we need to create new categories, we need to create new product listings, we need to do all the fun stuff for there, so that way it's ready to go on Tuesday. So these are going to launch on Tuesday, but you'd already seen these ones. Oh, these are the premium stones. You'd already seen those two, and a lot I've already seen the crystal. That's just the crystal premium. So we have those. But we've got some other stuff in it too. We've got the citrine and the crystal AB. So, oh, look how those bad boys go. And if we ever get sun, it'll be great to get some images out there. So I'm gonna do my best to hopefully find some sun today. But then we've got, oh, look at that. Oh, looky, we're gonna have a blue, and which ones are these? It is the amethyst, right? Amethyst. So there's an amethyst. There's a blue. There's a green, and then we've got a garnet and a red that we're gonna have. So we're gonna launch those on Tuesday. We're putting those out there for it. We'll do a design. We'll give them away. There are limited quantities available, like 40, 45 bags of each color. That's it. We're bringing it in, trying things out. If it sells, great, but that way we're not into a huge investment for something that's not going to sell. And that's what, one of our goals for 2026 is, to trim away the things that aren't selling and double down on the things that do sell. So if things sell, we will sell them. If things don't sell, they're going to go away, and you will all be notified of that as things change, and as we go through some of those growth stages where we're just like, hey, we're not gonna have this anymore, we're gonna have this, and you will be all along for the way for that. So look for that on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. We will show off those colors. We'll make, I think we'll do a Valentine's Day with those designs. We will give away the flock made for the designs and maybe even some of those premium stones. But you need to tune in and be present to win on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Set your calendars now. Get everything out of there. And these premium stones, super, super nice. So I'm not wait to see what those created for it. And have we? Yes, David, because we've had the premium line for since we've taken over it, and it was before that. They just had other colors that were available that were never brought in, and so we've been going back and forth. Like here, let's do this, let's go through that, and yep. And so now we're to the point where we're good. So same manufacturers that we've been using, nothing's changed, just color. So we should be a really, really good. Yeah, there's so many SKUs that are just that doesn't make sense to carry across so many lines, especially knowing that one of the good things about purchasing a company and moving it is that everything is packed up and then everything is moved, and then you have to unpack everything, and there's boxes that we know that there is stuff in that is on a shelf that we have not touched in 5 months, and that is not a seasonal item. So it's not like, oh, this only sells in the spring or summer. And so when we got it there, no, these are just things that are just in inventory. And so, yeah, we're not going to carry that stuff. So kind of the plan is sometime at the end of the first quarter, going in the second quarter, we will probably do a spring cleanout. So a spring closeout where we're going to go, here's everything that's closing out. Once it's gone, it's gone. And, be some great deals on that stuff. And it'll be, there'll be vinyl in there. There will be adhesive vinyl in there. There will be rhinestones in there. So we're going to go through and trim that and then send it on your way. So that way we'll be good to go. Nice. That's a plan. That's one of the things that we have on it. What else? I think that was kind of the bigger thing that we're going with. Looking at today into things. So we say we just get into it. You know, um, I was to go through this. We got 5 things that we're going to talk about for it. First one we're talking about is the way you start your year really matters more than the goals that you pick. Right? You know, most of us we don't actually you know fail our goals. We fail the entry point of it. What the hell does that even mean? Well, we start here in January. We're sprinting and we're reacting and we're stacking all these expectations before our nervous system has even had a chance to recover from December. And once we start, from that rush place, everything that we do really does start to feel heavier. It starts to feel harder, and it feels way more fragile than what it needs to be. A frantic start, what does that do? Well, it creates a year where you're, consistently playing catch up with yourself. You're chasing ideas instead of choosing them. You say yes way faster than you should. You build pressure instead of progress. And then, when something doesn't stick, you assume that the problem is discipline, when really it was just direction. So starting, intentionally, that doesn't mean that you're lazy or unmotivated. It just means that you are choosing to build this year from stability instead of adrenaline, right? And that that choice alone, that changes how everything is going to feel downstream. So some examples of this is, maker that they just skipped January launches entirely, and realized that everything from decisions to emails to phone calls to sales just felt calmer and they became more profitable. Another one noticed that, the when the pace slowed in January, Jack was able to follow through on more things long term. Slow down what we're doing in January. We can follow through later on in the year. Now, number two is you do not need to fix last year before you're allowed to move forward. All right. we've, we've all kind of had those things, right? Things that work out the way that we thought they needed to. And then, there's the quiet belief that January is a repair shop, right? Anything that was unfinished or messy or disappointing from last year, hey, January, that's when we're correcting all of that stuff. So what happens is we show back up, whether it's today or Monday, and you got that mental clipboard, and you're already, getting on your own case about, what hasn't gotten done. And that mindset doesn't create any kind of clarity. It kind of, creates a little shame. Like, and that's no fun, right? Most things in your business don't need fixed right now. You just need some understanding. When you rush to solve before, you fully understand the problem, you really do end up applying pressure in a completely wrong space. Right? You tweak offers when the real issue isn't the offer at all. You chase sales when the real issue is your capacity. You overhaul systems when the real issue was boundaries. So pausing doesn't mean that you're avoiding responsibility. It just means that you're refusing to panic today, right? And when you stop panicking, you make better decisions, and you make those better decisions every single time. So, some examples of this is when we go through, when we go through thinking our sales were an issue, but a lot of times it was just burnout, right? Burnout, had some issues, did did way more than anybody else do way more than what you should have last last month, last quarter? You know, is there anything else that you can do? Well, I know else for us. You know, somebody else, they finally stopped blaming pricing and recognized that it was their workload. That's what it was. It wasn't pricing that was the issue, it was their workload. So when we look at things like this, we just have to look at what we're doing, right? And maybe just write down one thing that you feel pressure to fix, and then ask yourself, do I actually understand this yet? Like, if I'm fixing this, why is there an issue? Maybe there's not an issue. It's just the process for it. Now, number three, hey, January is really hustle aggressive, right? Because hustle's loud. That's what you're going to hear. We need to set the thing. We need to set the tone for the year. We need to do this. It tells you that you need to go faster, that you need to do more, and that you need to keep up. Well, what you really need is alignment. And alignment is quiet and way more reliable. You know, it's subtle. It asks quieter questions like, does this make sense for me in my business? Can I actually sustain this? Now, those questions, they don't sound exciting at all, but they are super powerful. If last year taught you anything, it's that forcing yourself into someone else's vision of success, it just doesn't last, right? I mean, you can really white knuckle that productivity for a while, but eventually, what happens? Something breaks, whether that's your motivation or your health, your joy, or all three of them at the same time. And alignment doesn't promise instant results, but it does promise consistency. When your actions are lined up with your energy and your capacity and your values, momentum starts to build without the force. And that's the kind of progress that just doesn't collapse, the second that life starts to get complicated. So, you know, when we had talked to people about this, some examples is one maker said that she cut her product line in half and she felt instant relief, right? It was just, I, this stuff doesn't sell one, but here and there. Why am I even doing it? Another just simplified their workflow and became way more consistent without working more hours. So, as we go through the year, what can we do? Well, in January, you can choose a guide word. You know, choose one guide word in January. That is going to help you throughout the year. Is that calm? Is that steady? Is that simple? Is that focused? What's that guide word that anytime you have an issue, you can look back and be like, that's it. That's what we're going to do for it. Now, usually they say, hey, do we have any questions, comments, concerns before we get back into this? But nothing's there. A little pie bunch tip this morning. And that's fine. We knew it was going to be that way today. So, number four, you know, reflection belongs before action, not after burnout. Huh? Well, most people reflect after something goes wrong, right? After they're overwhelmed, after they're frustrated, after they're already in way too deep over their heads, and reflection, before that action, is a filter that prevents the unnecessary stress instead of reacting to it later. Did I just blow your mind and be like, what the hell are you talking about? All right, well, let's break down. You do not need a formal review or, the planner spread of things. You just need honesty. What drained you last year? What gave you energy? What did you tolerate that you don't want to repeat next year? Well, this year now. Yeah, because we're in 26. Those answers are going to tell you way, way more than any goal setting worksheet ever will. All right. When you reflect first, you stop building plans that look great on paper, but they really end up feeling terrible in real life. You create the space, for choices that actually are going to fit you. So, some examples of this is business owner delayed planning until she identified her biggest energy leaks. Another one realized that her favorite orders weren't her most profitable, and they adjusted. So, answer this question honestly. What do I not want to carry from 2025 into 2026? All right, simple enough. And as we wrap all of this up, number five, you are allowed to start this year gently. All right. Somewhere along the line, we decided that, yeah, to have strong years, we have to start loud. That we need motivation and clarity, and the color coded plan ready to go January 2nd. And if you haven't, you've already failed. And that's just nonsense. It burns people out before February. You know, a gentle start doesn't mean you're behind. It means that you're listening to yourself. It means you're listening to your business. It means you're listening to your customers. It gives confidence time to rebuild, clarity time to form, and trust time in return. When you allow yourself to just ease into it and you protect your energy, you know, instead of spending it all in one week, it just feels like something has been lifted, a weight's been lifted off your shoulders. Now, soft starts, those are going to build sustainable years, right? And sustainable years are the ones that actually change your life. So as we look in this, a maker, uses the first week of January to reset her space instead of pushing sales. Another one focused on rest and came back sharper than ever the following week. So give yourself permission to start this year at a pace that feels supportive and not performative. Does that make sense that we can go there? All right. So to recap all of this, before you plan, pause. Before you fix, understand. Before you hustle, align. Before you commit, reflect. Before you sprint, breathe. This year doesn't need some, big, dramatic, energetic, crazy entrance to be meaningful. It just needs you, right? You don't owe anyone, this year an apology for last year. You know, you don't need to prove anything in January. What you need is, just ground, solid footing. You just need to be able to stand before you can move forward. And when you start from clarity instead of pressure, everything that comes next will just feel a little lighter, and it'll definitely feel more intentional. So before you do anything this year, just take a moment, and let that moment not you know rush past you. Just that pause, that reset, that different way of beginning. You know, instead of just being a chaotic mess. We'll do that. That's my thing. We'll just go with it. So, questions, comment, concerns. Let me know here and there for it. David says, "Is rhinestones and vinyl the future or the past? Is it time to embrace DTF and UV?" Well, so let's break that down. Is rhinestones in HTV going anywhere? No, they will never go anywhere. Why is that? Because those are things that DTF can't do. There's specialty materials through HTV that you just can't get those same effects with DTF. Rhinestones, rhinestones are never going to go anywhere. There's always going to be dance. There's always going to be cheerleader. There's always going to be people that want to be sparkling. So I don't feel either one of those are going anywhere. DTF is just another tool in your toolbox, just like UV DTF. UV DTF, we went heavy into it, and it makes up a very small percentage of our overall sales. And the reason being is because most things that you're doing is sticker wise, you're not needing a whole lot of them. It's not like transfers where, we're ordering, 50, 100, 200 at a time that you're doing for a project. You may be doing the same thing for UV, but it doesn't take as much area with it. So there's a time and a place for everything. I don't feel that either one of them are going to go away. I don't feel like either one of them are going to be overtaken by the other. We still do a ton uh, of HTV, especially on specialty stuff. Like when looking up here, having our holographic stuff, having our neon colors, having our glitter, having our patterns. There's that none of that stuff's going away. The glitter, the flock, the specialty stuff, not going away with it. You will always have those. So there's no reason to think that those are going away. And then on DTF, I will 100% be the advocate for everyone to say, do not buy a DTF printer unless you are doing a boatload, because it is just way easier to order it and have it show up. We've talked to tons of people now. We can say 6 years. We started DTF printing in 2020, and then we got our commercial printers and really started pushing stuff. Because on our side we were doing printed HTV, because that was the only way to get low quantity high color items, was printed HTV. And we were doing a lot with that, and we saw that that was the shift, that it was going to go to DTF. So we got on board with that early, and we're crossing our fingers that by the end of this month we'll have that system, you know, um, integrated with the Rhinestone World, so you'll be able to order DTF transfers straight through our website. So we're hoping, crossing fingers. It looks like they're still running some issues, so we're gonna have it all. We'll be able to do, the HCV, the DTF, the UV DTF, the rhinestones glitter, all the stuff right there for it. So I don't think I don't think there's anything going away with it. It's just the way that you do it. Even on, we did names and number drops. It's faster for me to do name and number. It was. We're trying to get away from the retail stuff this year, but it was faster to do name and numbers, cutting them out of HTV than it was DTF, because by the time you run everything through, do the process in there, you can cut names and numbers with it. So I don't see it going anywhere with it. It's just another tool in the box for you. All right. Now we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Like I said, next week, I'm not sure what we're going to do for Monday's topic yet. I think Monday or Wednesday, one of those, we're going to talk Chat GPT now that 5.2's out, and how you can use that in your business going into next year. So that way, there's or going into next year, going into this year, things that you can do with it, things that you should be doing with it, and how that can really help you out in your business, especially, if you're that solopreneur on it. So that'll be one of the topics next week, setting ourselves up for success for the year. That'll be it. And if you guys have questions, make sure to always ask them, because that's what we do. So we answer them and go from there. So until next time, and you're very welcome. Yeah, I love any questions that has to do with this. Like, we've been in, the industry now. It was 2006, 2000. Yeah, so we'd be coming up on 20 years this year. 20 years this year. Is that right? Wow. 20 years this year. That seems wild to think about that. And then we took it serious about 8 years ago. And then that's when we decided to make the jump full time to this. And now here it is, 7 years after that, we buy the Rhinestone World. So there's definitely things to be done with it. And Peggy says, locally, Rhinestones is not as popular as they used to be. I don't know if it's because it being a military town or not. I have more success with DTF, decals, HTV, and embroidery. A lot that we found is depends on how things are marketed with it. And our cheer stuff, our cheer academies, our tumbling academies, our dance academies, and then any of our sports that have moms in them, which is every sport, we've always done well with rhinestones. And when we show it off, they're like, we need that. We need to see that for it. And so, yeah, I think a lot of it depends on how it's marketed. Because once you find that people, it goes it. Now there's budgetary concerns with it, but especially if you're doing anything booth wise, having a stone shirt where it is glistening right there in the lights and people can see it, even if it doesn't sell, it brings people in. And with us, we've had versions of the shirt where here it is full rhinestones, here it is in rhinestone, or with as a print with the rhinestone, accents around it. And then here's the full print. So there is your price tier for it. It's $45 for the t-shirt this way, it's $35 for it this way, it's 25 for it this way. So it allows them for it. So yeah, it just you just keep riding the course. You figure out what's best for you and your business, because there is no one shot fits all. I know people down in the South just crush it on monogram stuff, and they could monogram a turd and sell it. Us up here north, we don't We don't do many monograms. So a lot, is just area. What are you doing in that and how you can do it. So that's what we got. That's what we got. That's what we got. You guys have in a very small town, and that's the other thing too is location. What is there? Um, we know a lot that they are the only one in town, so whatever they say, that goes. It's like, "This is what you're gonna do." We've seen some where it was bad stuff, and somebody else is like, "I can do better," and they came in and crushed it because nobody was offering it. So, a lot is just how are we setting ourselves up for? What are we doing? What do we wanna do with it? And then just, sticking to your guns. You are the boss of your business, and you're gonna do what you need to do to make it happen, so that's what we got. All right. Mentorship community will start your call in about 28 minutes. We'll get over there for that. So until next time, you guys have an amazing weekend. We'll be back Monday. Everybody should be back. It's going to be a crazy time because we're starting the year. So until next time, peace, love, press on. We will see you then.